A whistleblower has claimed Facebook's products harm children, Stoke division, and weaken our democracy. That's Francis Haugen, who used to work as a product manager at the tech giant, has given damning evidence to U.S. politicians in the Senate days after leaking internal documents to the Wall Street Journal. She warned that if left alone, Facebook will continue to make choices that go against the common good. Ms. Haugen implored politicians in the hearing to take action and alleged that the company's leadership knows how to make its platform safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people. And global affairs analyst Kunle Falowo joins us now from Indiana as we discuss more on revelations from yesterday's hearing. Good to have you join us, Kunle Falowo.
Thanks for having me.
What was the most compelling part of the hearing as you listened to them on Tuesday, or listened to Francis Haugen rather on Tuesday?
Well, it was quite an explosive conversation and hearing, I would say. She came out with all of the facts and evidences, and it's quite interesting because it was a bipartisan agreement. And that hasn't happened in a long time when you have a Democrats and Republicans sitting together in the Congress, and then they happen to agree on some certain terms. And it's quite explosive, it's quite informative, and she was able to categorically table the problems because she was concerned, and she was also able to prefer solutions to some of those problems that she had been able to successfully identify.
Facebook has had several criticism, whether it has to do with the inability or the unwillingness to halt the spread of disinformation. There's also issues around the protection of data and privacy of users. But do you think that this is the very testimony that would lead to change in the tech giant?
Well, it's a gradual process. It's quite courageous of her to come out and go public with this information. She had sent those huge documents to the Wall Street Journal, to different media outlets and companies to, for them to broadcast. And she, she's a concerned citizen of the world. She's not just concerned about America, she's concerned about other countries, democratic countries in different places. And having said that, she had made some really salient questions and given so much fact and evidences to portray the image and what's going on in the lives of big tech companies. They're not doing enough to simply cater to the needs of young people. Don't forget that she also mentioned about some of new tech work that's been going on. They're targeting, well, specifically Instagram is targeting 13-year-olds and under, meaning that they're trying to hook them up to Instagram. And this is unfortunate because these kids are not able to decide what they want for themselves. At this point, they haven't really defined what they are, so they're exposed to bullying, they're exposed to body shaming, they're exposed to so many negativities on social media. So congressional oversight is very imperative at this point. And again, the Democrats and the Republicans, if not anything, they're on board to agree on some terms and come up with a lasting solution. Regulation and
that's where I was going, because some people are saying parents have to now take this up as other issues in America, but others say this has to do with legislation and regulation. But we know right now that America doesn't have adequate data protection laws. There are no anti-hacking bill. There is also no national privacy bill in the U.S. Does it all come down to regulation, and what sort of regulation?
Well, it's been public now that now more than ever before, it's imperative that they need to be some form of regulation in the tech world. Facebook has been in existence for over, well, close to 14 years. Instagram, almost close to that too. And some other big tech companies are being around for a little while, but they haven't been able to have a concrete regulation to address these issues. But that aside, we need some soul searching to do as parents and guardians of our kids. As parents, you need to be very, very watchful of the activities of your child or your kids, especially if they're younger. And regulation alone would not curb the problem, because some part of the internal research that was done showed that some kids were even thinking about suicide at the age of 14 or 13 or thereabout, because they were bullied or they were feeling uncomfortable about their body image. And this is quite unfortunate, and it makes you wonder what happened to their parents, what happened to their mom and their dad, or their grandfather, or their paternal, who was watching, who was in charge of these kids, who was watching them, who was taking care of them. So congressional oversight alone is not going to be enough, obviously, but again, parents also need to be on board.
And there are also call now for Facebook to make its data more accessible to independent researchers. Will that also be a way forward?
Well, independent research will be preferable, because if you have big tech companies financing or having to be in charge of playing a dominant role in research and information dissemination when it comes to data, there's a likelihood that it might be punctured, or it might be doctored at some point in time to favor, wherever is putting the money down. Having said that, if you have independent research companies or a conjugation of different companies come together, or institutions, higher institutions of learning can come together and carry out an independent research financed by taxpayers or something. That way, it's more valid and it's more open for a public discourse.
Thank you so much. We'll see how this plays out. Global Affairs analyst Kunle Falowo, thanks for your insight.
Absolutely.